Recently I took a plane and I downloaded the book, The Noble Music Theory for Guitarists. It's pretty cool. And what I thought is I'm just going to restart from scratch. So I haven't played guitar for the last 5 years. I want to relearn, playing songs, create my own music, relearn the theory to get strong foundation and, play what I want to play. And so today we're going to start with the musical alphabet, what are notes, semitones, and the major scales, and an introduction how it's linked to some of the chords you're playing. So let's grab the guitar. So when we look at music, we have 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it's also the chords on the guitar, so we have 6 chords, and the 6th, for example, is an E. And then in between notes we can have tones or semitones. So one tone are basically when we move 2 frets. So for example here when we start with an F and then we move one tone, so we move 2 frets to G, and the semitone is when we move 1 fret. So in between we move from an F to a note in between. And what is this note in between called? It's called an F sharp. So we go from F to F sharp. And I believe we can also go from G to G flat when you go down, but it's not important now. But there are sharps and flats. So in total we have 7 notes, just the letters of the alphabet, and then we have sharps in between or flats, and in total that makes 12 notes. So yeah, I had a bit trouble learning those because I learned the system, with like other instruments, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Now I have to try to, transfer it to the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But I think it's better, also for learning tablature. I like the tabs where you have the numbers, and that's where I'm going now. I don't want to do this reading of notes and trying to transfer it to guitar playing, too difficult. Not much fun. So I want to simplify and focus more on music and listening and feeling the music. So when we look at the scale with the sharps, so we have, and I have to look at my notes because the transfer I find it very difficult, but we have A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. So these are the 12 notes. And now the question is, you want to play solos, so you want to start with a scale, and you also want to learn how to play chords, right? So like a E, on A. So the thing is, we have chords that play like the happy sound, like a major, A major, or the minor one, a bit more intriguing. So now if we focus on major, there is actually a formula. And what is the formula? So it's about the tones and semitones. So we start with a tone, tone, semitone, and then 3 tones and a semitone, and that will give you a major scale. The first note you play is called the root note, which will give the name of your major scale. So for example, if I play a G major, I start with G, which is here. And what I figured out, and I also still need to learn it, but I will learn the major scales across strings. You can start with the empty strings like E and then play it up. If I play E and F, that's a semitone, just so you know. Okay, so let's start with G. So G, 1 tone, 1 tone, semitone, 1 tone, 1 tone, 1 tone, semitone. So that's the G major scale. Then what I tried to do is I tried to write down, what notes am I looking at. So if we go from G and I move a tone, I'm going to A, the same like that. So G, A, and then B, and then a semitone, C, and then a full tone D, full tone E, and then a full tone F sharp, and then a semitone G. So you see here we had a sharp in between. So now let's look at another scale where we don't have a sharp. So for example C, so we start here, which is also for the C chord. So we start with the root note C, move a tone up, D, a tone up, E, a semitone F, a tone G, a tone A, a tone B, semitone C. Oh yeah. So yeah, I think if you play a little bit around with that and try to write down the major scales, you know, if you have sharps or no sharps, and then try to play them. Start with the, you know, 6th chord, maybe then the 5th, and then, you know, you start to learn your fretboard. So I would do some exercises a couple of times a week. What else? Yeah, I think that I figured out that was cool. So when I play this scale, for example the G, sorry, I can actually, instead of going up one string, I can play it along the 6th and the 5th string and the 4th string. Alright, got it. So that's the shape, major scale for G as a root, and I can do the same here on A. Or B. So when you look at the shape of A, for example here, so these notes, if I do a major A here, I'm actually playing those notes. Not all of them, but at least those, right? And then this guy here. So basically, so I guess I start connecting the dot. I still need, you know, to move on to the next chapters, but that's the key. So you need to learn I guess we need to learn the notes on empty chords. Here sometimes I also have a problem a little bit, I forget about it, but it's E, right, because we have the, and then it's an A, and then D, and then this guy, I think it's a B. No, this one is a G. Okay, yeah, I'm really a beginner. E, A, D, G, and this is B, right? Yeah, and then E. So you can also do major scale by starting with the empty chords, but I would really start on the 3rd fret, and then, you know, figure out what's the note, the root note, and then either play it along a string or play, you know, the shape. G, A, B, and then, you know, look also for the chord. So if I start with an A, if you do a barred chord, it will have always this shape, or a G chord or an F chord. That's it. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this content on my YouTube channel, I hope you will tune in my couple of other videos. I have a new GX1 guitar pedal, you know, playing around with the electric guitar and sounds. And I also have one about online guitar courses I'm currently trying out. And I also show some riffs on new songs. And yeah, if you have anything you like, please comment and let me know what do you think, what's the best way of learning, you know, guitar theory. What's your best way to learn it? Yeah, what do you think about the method I delineated? I really like to simplify it so I can remember it also in a couple of years. And yeah, let's see where it goes. Excellent.